This part of the battle will be the remainder of it will be fought by pilots from the Yorktown and the Enterprise. But like we had mentioned before, Fletcher had commanded his aircraft from the Yorktown to wait until they were in a cohesive formation to go find the enemy. And when they leave, they head almost directly for the fleet. You know, as earlier we were talking about the Hornet and the Enterprise, their aircraft seem to go southwest and then have to swing back north.
Right.
The Yorktown's aircraft doesn't do that. And the first element in this Yorktown group is going to be their torpedo bombers as well. And they're going to have a very similar fate to the other torpedo groups that have already hit this fleet, right? They're going to lose a ton of aircraft. They're going to have no effects on target, but they're keeping those Japanese Zeros occupied still. And all the time that they're attacking, the Japanese fleet is having to maneuver, like make defensive maneuvers. They can't get into the wind so that they can launch more aircraft, and they can't receive those aircraft that are in the air that are running out of fuel and ammo, right? So it's keeping them in a stalemate for the time being. Now, that's at 10 a.m. 15 minutes before that, you're going to have the first step in the perfect storm when it comes to the outcome for the Japanese. You know, you've seen that movie, The Perfect Storm, when it's three storms combined to make this monster storm. You're about to have three air groups combined to make a monster attack on this Japanese fleet, this carrier fleet task force. And we had mentioned earlier that the torpedo bombers, while flying southwest, swung north. You had the torpedo bombers under Waldron, who came from the Hornet, did that. The Enterprise torpedo bombers, VT-6, did that as well. They swung north as well. They did it a little early. Well, behind them, because again, they're all launched in piecemeal. So the Enterprise's dive bombers and scout craft, which are their scout aircraft, which are gonna work as dive bombers essentially as well. They end up swinging north, but they're still searching. They can't find the carrier fleet, the Japanese carrier fleet. And then all of a sudden they look down and they see wake from a Japanese destroyer. And they follow that Japanese destroyer all the way to the aircraft carrier fleet.
Brilliant.
And as soon as they show up on scene, the Yorktown's dive bombers and scout aircraft simultaneously show up on the scene. So you have three air wings that are showing up on scene, coming from 20,000 feet, getting ready to wreak havoc on the Japanese.
From both sides, pretty much.
From both sides. You have one group coming in from basically the Japanese, the southwest of the Japanese, and one coming in straight from the east of the Japanese, right? So they're kind of hammer and anvil almost, coming in from two different directions.
Good.
Now, the Yorktown's aircraft, that's going to be VB-6 and VS-6. The way they come in, the two aircraft carriers that are going to be closest to them are going to be the Kaga and the Akagi. On board the Akagi is the torpedo air wing that attacked Pearl Harbor. They're veterans. They're very experienced. They're probably the best pilots in the Japanese Navy. So big target. If those guys get in the air and are able to go attack, either the Enterprise, the Hornet, or the Yorktown, it's going to be a bad day for any of those aircraft carriers, because the Japanese torpedoes are extremely effective, whereas ours are duds most of the time.
Right.
So typically, when you have two air wings come in simultaneously to drop bombs on an enemy fleet, the first air wing will typically take the furthest aircraft carrier away. The second air wing will take the closest. That way, they can be hit simultaneously. Air defenses are a little harder to single out one or the other because it's happening at the same time. Well, there's a failure in communication. It might be the fog of war. Who knows? But essentially, both air wings, VB-6 and VS-6, dive on the Kaga. And the Kaga is going to get smoked. It's for sure gets hit with 3 bombs, possibly 5. It is just ravaged, right? I mean, that thing, they dropped so many bombs on that thing, there's no way it's going to make it. Lieutenant Best, he is in command of VB-6, which are dive bombers from the USS Enterprise.
Okay.
He and his 2 wingmen are going to peel off. He sees what's happening and goes, well, that ship is already taken care of. I'm going to go take out the Akagi My sights are now on the Akagi. And him and 2 other aircraft are going to make their way by themselves towards the Akagi, and they're going to be flying through crazy anti-aircraft fire.
Yeah.
They're gonna dive super close to the ship. Typically, I think they come down at a 70-degree angle.
Yeah.
They start at 20,000 feet. They dive to what is it? Like 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
I think he's going to even get lower than that. I think he's going to get to like 1,000 feet. He's going to really cut it close because he wants to ensure that bomb is accurate. Right. This is their only shot. They're the only 3 aircraft.
Yeah, just the 3 of them. Wow.
All 3 of them will drop their bombs. The 2 wingmen's bombs will impact the water, but it impacts the water close enough to do some damage to the ship. Lieutenant Best, when he drops his bomb, it smacks the middle of the flight deck.
Nice.
Penetrates, and he doesn't know it, but that's a fatal wound for that ship.
Wow. So effective, hey.
Simultaneously, VB3, which is from the Yorktown, and that is under the command of a guy named Leslie, are going to attack the Soryu. And they're going to get 3 hits on the Soryu as well. So within a matter of 5 minutes, this whole encounter takes about 5 minutes.
Wow.
They have just taken out 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 Japanese aircraft carriers because all 3 of those ships will sink. Like I'd mentioned before, you have all these torpedoes and bombs and fuel hoses all just loose goose on the hangar deck. So when these bombs impact, there's secondary and tertiary fires and explosions going off. They can't stop the fires. So eventually they have to scuttle all these ships.
Makes sense.
Right? So that's 3 aircraft carrier down in a matter of 5 minutes.
That's amazing because the hour before that saw American wave after wave just get decimated. And the Japanese probably thought they had this in the bag. And then now this happens.
Oh, they
Totally.
probably felt so confident after the torpedo attacks, like, oh man, we got this. We got this.
Craziness is going on.
And little did they know they had a bad day coming their way.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So
we have a firsthand account of this 5 minutes taking place. It's from a pilot named Dusty Cleese. He was a pilot from the Enterprise, and targeting the Kaga. He targeted the Kaga. That's the first aircraft carrier that was hit. It was hit with 3, possibly 5 bombs.
Okay.
One of his bombs or one of the bombs that hit it, that
Epic.
we know that hit it.
Epic.
And this is what he had to say. Quote, I used the red circle on the bow as my target, and I came really down low to make sure that it would hit. And I saw the bomb land at the edge of that big red circle, and then I saw a big explosion, end quote.
That's pretty cool. What a way to aim at something.
Yeah, I mean, I've
sun.
heard him say that. They have a recording of him saying that.
Yeah.
And to hear him say it, man, you can almost hear the excitement in his voice. Like still to this, I mean, he's an old man giving this quote. You know,
like
he's
70 some years later.
It's been a long time ago for him, and you can still hear like, well, it'd be like us talking about our first time in a gunfight. You know, like you can hear like that excitement in his voice. Like this is what I was aiming at, and I was going to hit it. You know, and then I saw it hit it, and it blew up. And sure enough, it hit that circle. You can hear him. I highly recommend looking up Dusty Cleese. His story is pretty incredible. But you know, these guys are young, and the pilots from the Enterprise are all brand new, inexperienced, never been in combat. The Yorktown guys have been in combat, but they've only been in 1 battle. Right? Granted, it was a big battle, but they've only been in 1.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have the same level of expertise you're going to have in 1944 or 1945. Right? This is early in the war. These guys are all fresh.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're participating in the most epic naval battle in our history. Yeah, and they're winning.
And they're winning. That's
you know,
important.
like and he's in that group that really changed the tide. It's pretty fascinating.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip from America Fog of War, catch the rest of the episode here.